Warren presents Warren's Mom. Season 1, Episode 4. Today at school, Warren and his class were talking about time traveling to either the past or the future. Although time traveling might not be in real life, the teacher asked the kids what they want to travel to. The past or the future. The teacher handed out a piece of paper to every kid and it asked if you would travel to the past or the future, and it tells why. Warren writes that he would travel to the past because he wanted to explore. After school, Warren asked his dad if there was a time machine he could use. His dad said that there could be no way that time machines can exist, but said he could take him to a place where they study time machines and other people trying to build them. But the next day, Warren got out his lunch bag, and some of his snacks weren't there. When he got home, he went around the house for his mom to ask if there's any chips. Warren saw his mom eating junk food at the kitchen table. This disgusts Warren and he just went to his room. Warren looked up about time machines, and he saw that there are some time machines that are being worked on. Some people were saying that time machines aren't real, but in Warren's opinion, he believes that there will be at least one time machine that can travel someone to any generation. Warren went to his dad to show him what he read about, and his dad was confused by what he was reading. Warren asked his dad if they can both build a time machine, but Warren's dad said they don't have the tools nor any material to make one, but they can wait for one to be built in the facility. He also reminded them that they're both gonna go to the facility to check out their progress. Tonight, when Warren was getting tucked in by his mom, she told Warren good night and kissed him. But when she kissed him, Warren noticed that her breath smelled bad and it also smelled disgusting. Warren spit on the floor to spit the taste away after. On Saturday, Warren and his dad drove to a facility where they study and try to build time machines. Warren's dad said that there might not be any real time machine, but he can show him what lots of people over there are trying to do. When they both got there, they went inside and did a check. After that, they then went inside and Warren was surprised by what they were working on. There were many machines and technology being worked and studied on. Warren saw a few time machines that he thought looked amazing. After Warren and his dad walked and checked everything out, they both went to someone who Warren's dad asked if they had a time machine that Warren could use. The employee said that there was one time machine that is almost being worked on, but is on session at the moment. Warren's dad told the employee that his son Warren wanted to travel place to place with it. The employee said that although all the time machines were not actually transporting anyone to anywhere yet, they can test some of the machines to see if they can actually transport someone to the past or the future. Warren was hoping the time machines would work so he can experience what it was like back then. When Warren and his dad got home, Warren went to his room to play games. An hour later, heard his guardians arguing from his room. Warren heard them arguing over some junk food. This made Warren hungry and made him want to eat some food, even if he wasn't really hungry anyways. Warren went to the kitchen as his guardians were arguing in their bedroom. When Warren got there, there were bags of eaten McDonald's junk food on the table. Warren is grossed out by its smell and decides not to eat it. Warren then went to the living room to watch TV, but it wasn't there. Warren looked all over the living room, but it still wasn't there. Warren had a feeling his dad must have put it in his and his wife's bedroom, so he goes in there to find it. But right then, Warren's guardians got out of their bedroom and his mom went to pick him up and take Warren to his grandparents' house to spend the night. Warren was happy to go to his grandparents' house. Warren's guardians decide to take him there so they can finish their argument over Warren's mom eating junk food, so that Warren won't have to hear them both arguing. When Warren got to his grandparents' house, he said hi to his grandma and grandpa. He then went to the living room to watch some TV. He couldn't find the remote, so he went to open the cabinets to see if it's there. While he was poking around, he found some files of children's McDonald's advertisement award-winning. He saw a picture of a little girl who he didn't know who she was. Throughout the whole day, Warren watched TV while eating, and drew drawings in the living room. The next day, Warren's mom came to pick him up and drove him home to get ready for school. While they were in the car, Warren noticed that his mom was eating a lot of junk food, such as hamburgers, French fries with ketchup, and chicken nuggets. Warren finds it gross because he never thought he'd see his mother gobbling junk food like that. Warren focused on looking out the window so he won't have to see his mom chewing all of that junk food with her bare mouth and teeth. In the middle of the school day, Warren didn't feel like eating during lunch, because he was still thinking about his mother eating all that junk food, which disgusted him a lot. When he got home, his dad told him that he was invited to go in a time-traveling machine next Saturday. Warren was excited about it and couldn't wait to travel around places. For the whole day, Warren spotted his mother eating junk food. Warren hated to see his mom eating that because he thought that his mom would eat something healthy like other moms, not lots of junk and garbage food. After a whole week of Warren being in school, Warren woke up on Saturday, and went to his guardian's bedroom to wake up his dad for the time-traveling machine. Warren's dad was too tired, but he got up and was notified that they'll be going to the facility for Warren to time travel at 11 o'clock. After a while, it was around 11. Warren and his dad drove to the facility, and they both went inside. They went to a waiting room for them to wait for someone to travel with Warren to make sure that he is kept safe. Warren's dad told him that he can go play in a children's room, which is a room for kids to play in while they wait. Warren went inside there and played with some toys, and was also relieved that there were no kids in there. After 15 minutes, Warren's dad called out for Warren and the two went up to this guy named David Morkalasi. David introduced himself to them both and said that he is going to travel with Warren through the past and the future. Warren was happy, and his dad said that he was going to go home, and asked if it's okay that he will drive Warren home, and David said that was all right. Warren's dad gave some info on where he lives, and David accepted it. After that, Warren and David went to walk around the facility, which was almost like a labyrinth maze. They both then got inside a room where there was an expensive time machine, and Warren was dying to go in it. Warren and David got inside the machine, then they teleported to the future. They saw lots of technology and many robotic machines all over the place, and Warren was amazed by it. He and David went around to check it out until they both decided to travel to the past. They then teleported to the 1980s. They walked around and had a fun time exploring the past, seeing many of the themes of old times. A while later, they saw the one famous establishment itself. McDonald's. They both went to the entrance room to see what it was like back then, and it looked old and formal. There were some people already there. While they were checking the place out, Warren had fun and he started going to a different room that had a sign saying, "Costumers should not enter," so anyone who was a costumer or an employee were not allowed inside. David saw Warren secretly going to the room, and he went after him to stop him. When David finally catches Warren, they both heard some kids talking, so they both got interested and went to see what was going on. When they got to the secret room, they saw kids gobbling and eating up their McDonald's food in a way that Warren finds disgusting. And Warren thought the children from the 80s looked adorable, but also thinks they looked disgusting and ugly back then. The kids were eating a McDonald's meal for a McDonald's commercial advertisement for TV. Warren thought the food the children were eating was gross, especially how they were chewing the food with a disgusted way with their ugly smiles. One of the cameramen asks one girl, who said her name was Anna Jennifer, if she enjoys her food. The girl said yes, and that she loves the food so much. The 5-year-old girl was eating fries with ketchup and a hamburger. The girl seemed to love the McDonald's meal so much that she started gobbling it all up and started using a lot of ketchup for her fries that she wanted to eat. Warren was surprised, because the name Anna Jennifer sounded familiar to him. That's when Warren realized that young girl was actually his mom, when she was a young girl. His mom was a junk food addict all her life, and was still thriving it for herself. This made Warren even more disgusted, and this also made him hate his mom. Warren thought her mom looked gross and disgusting. He also saw her mom as a kid taking a picture with the Ronald McDonald mascot. Warren and David agreed to travel somewhere else. When they traveled to another place in the same year and the same day, they saw a house which Warren assumed to be Anna's childhood home, and the two peeked through the window. It was actually Anna's birthday, and her parents were the only ones celebrating her birthday. Warren had witnessed Warren's mom as a child being disgusting and disobedient to her parents and demanding for more junk food and cake. She then started gobbling up a lot of junk food, which was McDonald's, and was also eating her birthday cake. Warren's grandparents seemed frustrated with his mother's behavior back when they were giving her junk food during her younger years. Warren was already disgusted with his mother's behavior back when she was a 6-year-old stupid brat. Her begging for junk food like that. But her parents spent the money on junk food for her. This made Warren think that his mom was a glutton girl back in her childhood years, which means that this can send his mom to hell. This also made Warren wonder why she hasn't gotten fat for the past years, but he would never question it though. Warren and David were about to travel back to the present time, when all of a sudden, a car pulled up to the street and started shooting at the house Anna and her parents were in. Warren got scared, but David grabbed Warren just in time and they both hid in the darkness near the house gate. Luckily, it was so dark that the shooters couldn't see Warren and David. The shooters were shown to be two men, and they were actually trying to rob their house. Warren and David could hear Anna crying as her parents tried to calm her down and bring her to another room somewhere inside the house. It turned out Warren's mom used to live in a bad neighborhood, and there was always shooters roaming around the streets at night. David decided to get the travel machine remote so he and Warren could transfer back to the present time. Unfortunately, when the two men started shooting seconds ago, David got so surprised that he dropped the traveling remote. David knew he and Warren had to save themselves, so while the two men were looking around outside, David and Warren sneaked inside the house so they won't be found by them. David and Warren wasn't too familiar with the house Anna used to live in, especially David, because he knows nothing about Warren or his family. Warren and David could hear Anna crying from another room, and her parents tried to calm her down. The both started looking around for a place to hide, when all of a sudden, they heard loud banging on the door. The two men tried to break into the house. This put David in full frustration because the travel machine remote was outside, and now he was stuck inside a house he doesn't even know, and has to protect Warren. The two men to the house and looked around. Warren and David were hiding under the table. Luckily, it had a tablecloth around it so the two men couldn't see them both. It was obvious that the two men could hear Anna crying loudly from another room, but the two men were only there just to steal stuff that wasn't theirs. After the two men were finished, they went out from the house, got in the car, and took off. David and Warren were got from under the table and they were happy the two men got out. But right when they were about to walk out, Anna's dad, who is currently Warren's grandpa, came out of nowhere and he pulled out his gun at both of them. Anna's dad thought David was the shooter, and thought Warren was just some random little kid that David brought with him. Anna's dad pointed his gun at David instead of Warren and threatened him to get down, and David got freaked out. David tried to tell Anna's dad that he isn't the shooter, and that he was just traveling back to the past to explore and brought Warren with him, and he also said that he doesn't have a gun around him, but Anna's dad didn't believe him. Anna's dad went to call the police after shutting the door close, and still had his gun pointed at David. Anna's dad told David not to move, and he forced Warren to come close to him to take care of him. Warren was already scared and was starting to tear up. Right then, Anna and her mom came to see what was going on, and saw Anna's dad having his gun out, and saw two random people she doesn't know. Anna was still crying, and her mom tried to comfort her. Anna's mom was confused what she was seeing, but she focused on comforting Anna and brought her to her room. Now David was starting to get mad and frustrated at the same time. David didn't know who Anna's parents are and didn't know that Anna was actually Warren's mom. After Anna's dad was done calling the police, he went to talk with Anna's mom. Anna's parents started arguing over what just happened. While they were both arguing, David grabbed Warren and they both got outside to run away. Anna's dad ran out to find them. David struggled to find the remote because it was dark and he couldn't see. After seconds of trying to look for it, he finally finds it. Anna's dad came to find them, but before he could catch them both, David clicks the button, and he and Warren traveled back to the present time. Upon the electric striking over them both, Anna's dad was staring in complete shock. After that, Warren and David transferred back to the present time. When David went to his car to take him home, David was terrified by what he experienced, but he told Warren that he seemed like a great kid to hang out with and it was fun hanging out with him. Warren told him that he had fun being with him too, and hoped to see him sometime. Warren then told him that the little girl must have been his mom when she was young, which made David confused, but tries not to think about it too much. When Warren got home, he went inside and was excited about traveling to the past. He told his guardians that he had a fun time with David and they traveled to places, and his dad seemed interested into it. Warren went to watch a TV show about time machines in the living room, and he seemed entertained by what he was hearing about and what he saw. For the rest of the day, he was drowned into the idea of time machines and had fun researching about it. When it was time for bed, Warren wanted his dad, Darius, to tuck him into bed. After that, Warren fell to sleep. While he was sleeping, Warren had a dream of his mom eating lots of hamburgers and other junk food. She then got bigger and fat, and she floated in the sky through the air, then she exploded. Warren then woke up and was wondering what in the hell he was dreaming about. Because he spotted his mother eating junk food lately, he was suspicious about the whole thing and was going all over his head. Not only Warren was thinking about it though, but his dad was thinking about it as well. In fact, Warren's dad started having nightmares of his wife having a sexual interaction with the McDonald's mascot. His nightmare started off with him going to McDonald's, and Kathy's Aunt Jennifer making out with another stranger, who was dressed in a Ronald McDonald costume, and had painted himself white. Warren's dad woke up in absolute shock thinking about what the hell happened in his dream. The next day, Warren woke up to his guardians arguing and yelling. This has been going on since the morning. They both were arguing about Warren's mom eating junk food. Warren's mom said she loves the junk food, showing that she loves the junk food more than him and Warren, and the Weil family. Warren's dad told her she is gonna go to hell for gluten, but she still doesn't care. Warren's mom got fed up and left the house to go drive somewhere else, which Darius, Warren's dad, doesn't know. When she left, he saw Warren standing in the hallway, and he went up to him to chat with Warren since Anna left the house and he had no one to talk to. Darius asked his son Warren where did he and David go when they were traveling in the time machine. Warren said that he and David went to McDonald's back in the 1980s to see and look around inside the establishment. He then said that they both saw kids at a diner eating their food. Then they saw a young girl in the diner that was actually his mommy. Warren then told him that he went to his mommy's childhood home and there was a shooting, which surprised Darius. Darius was surprised by this. He then asked Warren what else he saw and Warren said that he and David went to visit his mommy when she was a kid. And said that she was being rude and mean to her mommy and daddy, and said that she wants more McDonald's food. Darius was shocked by this and he got Warren and put him in the car to drive him to school. After he dropped Warren off at school, he then went to Anna's parents' house to talk about his wife's junk food addict. When he got there, he was welcomed inside their house. Darius asked Anna's guardians if Anna had been eating junk food. They said that they haven't seen her eating junk food since she was young. Darius said that was what he was wondering, if Anna has been a junk food addict her whole life. Anna's mom said that Anna was featured in a McDonald's commercial a long time ago. And that she loved the food so much that she was demanding for more, and it was all because they want her to be excited by putting her in a McDonald's advertisement. Then Anna's mom went to turn on the TV and put on a tape of the McDonald's commercial where Warren's mom was featured in when she was a young kid. Anna's mom played the tape on the TV, and then skipped to the part where Anna was eating McDonald's. After the commercial was finished, Warren's dad was speechless and was flabbergasted by what he just watched. Anna's mom told him that Anna loved the McDonald's food so much that she was regarded as the company's favorite spokesperson child. They also showed a file of her in the commercial, the same one that Warren saw when he was in his grandparents' house. This made Darius realize why his wife, Anna, was so addicted to junk food lately, and how she is still eating all that junk food as an adult to this day. Darius was still frustrated that his wife was still into that stuff, which could put her in a hard situation, and that he was living with a wife who's still addicted to junk food. Warren's dad told Anna's parents that he and Anna got into an argument over this, and that Anna had already left. Anna's mom said that she is glad she doesn't have to take care of her anymore. Anna's dad laughed and said that he's glad about it too, saying she was such a disgusting and disobedient child for them to have back then. He also said that he once was celebrating Anna's 5th birthday, and she told him to shut up. He said that night someone shoot her their house back then, and that Anna was scared to death. Anna's dad explained that back then, there would be violating and shooting in their neighborhood every night, and that it would scare Anna. He then said that Anna is afraid of gang violence and criminal issues, and that she seems to be very sensitive about it to this day. Darius was still mad, but Anna's mom told him that Anna is a nice person, and that she just needs to get herself together. But Darius was still mad. He told Anna's parents that she is not a nice person, and she'd chosen food over him and his son Warren, and probably even them too. But Anna's mom tried to talk him out of it. After Darius was done talking to Anna's parents, he went to the car to drive home. A while later, Warren's mom got home and got back inside the car to pick Warren up from school. Warren's mom didn't feel comfortable having him on the bus with the other kids. Since she doesn't want to get in trouble with the school about Warren threatening the other kids in the bus, so she chose to pick Warren up from school instead of him having to ride the bus. When she got to Warren's school, she saw Warren waiting at the waiting area, and drove right to him to come and get inside the car. Warren refused to get in. Warren's mom told him to get inside the car again, but Warren still refused. Warren's mom asked him why he won't get in the car. And Warren snapped and got furious, yelling that it's because she smells and that she is a stupid fucking disgusting junk food addict, and said that he wished she was not his mother. Lots of kids and teachers were already at the waiting area, and they all stared at Warren. Warren's mom got out of the car and picked Warren up to put him in his seat, and she was also embarrassed by how people were looking at her. Warren didn't seem to feel bad for her at all. As Warren's mom was driving him home, Warren shouted at her, calling her profanity names and also fat-shaming her, but she wasn't even fat. Warren's mom started to tear up hearing Warren's thoughts on her. When Warren and his mom got home, Warren's mom went to her room to do who knows what. Warren went to his dad and said that he doesn't want his mommy to pick him up from school anymore, and that he doesn't want to see her face. Warren's dad asked him why he doesn't want to see her, and Warren said that she is disgusting and hates seeing her eating junk food in a disturbing way. His dad said that he will drive him to school next time. Since Warren couldn't handle the kids on his bus, and couldn't handle his mother in the car either, Warren's dad thought it was a good idea for only him to drive him anywhere. Warren asked his dad if he promised to take him to school, and Darius said yes. Warren then looked at him and went to his room feeling relieved. Sometime later, Darius went to check inside Warren's backpack to check for anything new he'd done at school. To his shock, he found 3 drawings, which depicts what Warren saw happened in Anna's childhood back in 1985 when he went to time travel to the past with David the other day. It turned out that Warren's teacher asked the kids to draw 3 things what they predict the future was gonna be like, or what they think about what the old days were like. Because Warren chose the old days, he was assigned to draw 3 things about what he thinks the old days were like. But here's the thing. Warren's teacher doesn't actually know that Warren actually time traveled in real life, so Warren just drew 3 things about what he actually saw in the old days, which was the year 1985. The end.